Hey, this is 6 Bolt and Von Doom's Lab. I'm here to talk about the Hook of the Reaper version 1.1.7 release, which is pretty small, so I wanted to take a break from doing the game files, which was pretty long and tedious. I did 150 games. It was like over 200 files, so it's pretty mind-numbing, tedious, and I just needed a break to do something more challenging and interesting. So I got some things taken care of with Hook of the Reaper, and it was also kind of a nice little breakup with it. So, but let's get into it. So first thing is the bugs. We still have the alien-like gun. Hopefully this is the end of this bug, but I think so. So in version 1.1.5, I removed delay recoil because it just, with timing and skewing, it just never can really line up. And it's just kind of a problem with, it's asynchronous when you pull the trigger or not, kind of thing. So it's going to always have syncing problems. So I removed it, and yeah, and there's some fast games that Alien Gun doesn't work on. So not too big a surprise, but I already had like a mode in mind that I was going to do. So I had to, I'm going to call it like slow mode. So what this mode does, it cuts the recoil rate in half. So on House of the Dead 4, it recoils every 50 milliseconds. So if you're holding down the trigger, every 50 milliseconds it will recoil and the bullet will go down by one. Bullets will go down by one. So if you do this mode, then instead of 50, it will be 100 milliseconds. So, which is really good. And it's also a little different in how you implement it and how it's actually done inside the pattern, or not pattern, the game file, versus how I did it before, which is the recoil delay, which was in the add light gun window and edit light gun window. So if you want to put a game into slow mode, you have to open up the game file for it. So here is House of the Dead 4. So this is kind of like a normal default LG pattern. So as you can kind of saw, what you do to put it in slow mode, you go to player one, then you just go space capital SLOW. Then player one will be in slow mode. And if you want to put player two in slow mode, you just do the same. And that's all you have to do for it. Then now player one and player two. And this will work for any light gun too. It's just not the alien light gun. This will work for any light gun. So if you think the recoil is going too fast for a certain game, you can just put it into slow mode and it will cut the recoil rate in half. So it's kind of nice how it kind of works out that way. So since somebody actually lent me an alien light gun, which was really nice, I actually had hardware to check out some things. So it was really nice. I actually got to see how the alien light gun got put into Hook of the Reaper, which is pretty easy, which I'm glad to see. And it's also nice to see the ammo numbers going and just kind of the feel and how it works. So it was nice to actually see alien light gun and have it. But some of the fast kind of patterns that we have was House of the Dead 4. So it didn't work in normal mode. So as I mentioned, it's 50 milliseconds, but when you go into slow mode, it works great at 100 milliseconds. So House of the Dead, Scarlet's Dawn, the normal gun barely works. It's at 65 milliseconds, so it's just at the edge what the alien gun can do. And they also have a whole bunch of other guns that you can switch out and put in, like special kind of guns that you choose. And one of them is a submachine gun, which is too fast. It doesn't work in normal mode with the alien light gun. But I put it in slow mode and both work great. The normal gun and the submachine gun, which is like the fastest gun in the game. So those are working now good, which is good. Then another game is Transformers Humans Alliance. It has the same timing as House of the Dead 4, which is 50 milliseconds. So now you put in slow mode, work. So it didn't work in normal mode. Put in slow mode, work great. So another game is Rambo. This one's a little different just because of how it works. So when I tried it in the alien light gun, it skips pretty horrible and moves around, which is kind of normal because what happens, the recoil signal moves around a lot. Kind of, it's not a stable like 50 milliseconds like other games. It's actually skews around from 40 to 60 milliseconds. So the alien light gun doesn't really work too well. It skips and all that. And if you put it into slow mode, it's a lot better, but it's still, because it's moving around really fast, it doesn't really work that great. So I know it had another recoil signal. Actually, it's the original arcade output, which had gun recoil. And that actually works better. It still moves around a little, but it's a lot more stable than the CTM recoil. So it does move to 80 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds and just not as fast as the other one. So it actually works great. So I put it on the alien gun and even checked it out on the Reapers, and it works great. I mean, you can kind of tell it's moving around, but not really that much. It's hard to detect because it's 20, milliseconds out of 80 or 100. That's kind of hard to detect. But, if it's 20 milliseconds out of 40 and 60, that's a little easier. But those kind of for the fast kind of games. There's two other, but they were not really fast. But for Rambo, I decided to make a new game file. I'm just going to switch out CTM recoil for the recoil signal with the gun recoil signal. So for this release, there will be a new game file for Rambo, and also I'll have the old file too. I'll call it Rambo_old. So if people like the old way, they can still play with it too. They just have to change the name or just keep what was released before. But that's the end of the alien light gun stuff. So the next one's not really a bug, it's just more information I kind of want to tell people. So for the SuperModel emulator, they found out that the emulator is kind of like a modified fork version of SuperModel that has network outputs in it. So I put the link in on the website down here to the release of it. And also my GitHub actually it also has a link in the info for it. So I did talk to the SuperModel team, and they're not really planning to put network outputs into it anytime. They welcome me to do it, and I'm really busy with Hook of the Reaper, so it'll be a long, long time. And even if I did it, the return is not that much. I mean, the only other game will be LA Machine Gun, which is working on the Dolphin emulator. So since we have the other game working, it's not that kind of much return. So maybe if I have nothing else or have some time, I could do it. But yeah, it's kind of like low priority right now. The only game that works with it is the Ocean Hunter. The LA Machine Gun is still, I think it's not still, SuperModel doesn't have it playable. Then Lost World doesn't have any usable output signal. So I just want to make people aware for SuperModel, you have to download this forked version of it. Okay. Moving on. So now we'll get into the changes to Hook of the Reaper. So I'll talk about the Reaper 5 LEDs first. So there's kind of like two changes that went into it. So the first change on how the Reaper 5 LEDs work now, it only kind of activates if you put it into, if ammo value recoil method is like the highest priority. It doesn't have to be, but it should be the highest priority. And if the game supports ammo value. I think there's only one, maybe two game files that just have ammo value. All the other times there's ammo value, then recoil, and recoil value. So that's why, if you don't put ammo value at the highest, there's only going to be one or two games that will then actually use the 5 LEDs then. So if you don't put it into ammo value, recoil, and the game doesn't support it, then those kind of orange LEDs will not come on anymore. So don't be, shocked or anything when you load up it and you don't see kind of the orange LEDs right away and go, hey, Hook of the Reaper, like, you hooked into it. It'll still vibrate. You can tell it by that way, but yeah, it's not gonna change with the LEDs or anything. If the game, if you played like a unlimited ammo game like Jurassic Park or Let's Go Island or Let's Go Jungle, which doesn't have ammo value because it's unlimited, it will just not have that orange anymore. So what's happened, it will have the original types that it has. So if you never touched it, you'll probably have type 1, which is the building up of the red LEDs. And the next one's kind of the same, building up of different colors. Then you just have the red going through all 5, and you have the different colors going through all of it. So how to change these types, you hold down that little D-pad joystick. It has a button. If you push it down, so you push down that button, hold it down for 3 seconds, and it'll cycle through all the different types. And also it's dependent on how it works. It's dependent on where the switch is at. So if the switch is in the center or the right, which is signal shot, the LED will only go one time. So when you pull the trigger, it'll do an LED kind of flash kind of thing, and that will only happen once if it's in those two positions. If it's on to the left, which is auto fire, then it will repeat it all the time. So I know most games are auto fire, so you just have to, so if you want to see those LEDs going off all the time, you have to put it in auto fire. If you only want to see it when you pull the trigger, then the middle or the the middle or the right will be what you want. And also I want to warn you, when you change that switch, you'll give recoil control back to the gun. So if you're in a game hooked by Hook of the Reaper and you move that switch to auto fire and you pull the trigger, it will start auto firing, even though normally it wouldn't auto fire because the Hook of the Reaper will be stopping it. But since you move that switch, it will give it control. But what happens when Hook of the Reaper sends a recoil, it will take control back again. So then once it do one recoil, it won't happen anymore after that. Hook of the Reaper will have control again, unless you move the switch again, of course. But I just want to warn people, if you're moving that switch when Hook of the Reaper is hooked, it's going to not give control over recoil until a recoil happens. So I just want to make people aware of that, just how the gun works. So don't be too surprised with it coming orange. It's only when you have ammo games. So the next change is, I was thinking, I never liked where it's only the last 5 bullets. If you have a lot of bullets, like 30 or 50, having only the last 5 bullets showing, it doesn't really help too much. It goes really fast. So what I do now is when it reloads, I look at the value. And if that value is greater than 14, it divides it out and figures out how many bullets are equal to 1 LED. Then once you go through so many bullets, it will change all the orange to change 1 to red kind of thing. And I have a kind of example of this here. So if you have like 30 ammo, it will do 6 bullets per LED. So 30 to 25 will be 5 orange LEDs on the side. 24 to 19 will be 1 red, 4 orange. 18 to 13 will be 2 red, 3 orange, and so on. And down here I have 100, which would be 20 bullets per LED. So it's pretty cool to see. You pull the trigger in like fast firing games, and you'll see that thing. You'll see the LED slowly turn to red, and it's just not at the end anymore. It's just, it's an average out between them. So it's a pretty nice change. It kind of gives you a feel of, where your ammo's out and all that, and like how fast it's going. But that's kind of the other kind of change to it. One is when it turns on, and how it works kind of thing. Okay, then the last small little change was what I did to the add light gun window. So I'll bring in Hook of the Reaper here. So when you load up, or when you go to add light gun window, you'll start seeing some red. So the red stuff is where you need to put the data in. So when you're in a non-default light gun, you have to put all the serial port stuff in, name, the recoil priorities, and reload information, because I don't know kind of what gun you're using in this way, but you have to fill out all that information. Then if you see down here, it defaults to recoil 0, ammo value 1, 2, and 3, but for Reaper, I changed it now. So when you go to the Reaper, ammo value goes to 0, recoil goes to 1, then 2, then recoil value is always 3, and it's not supported on the Reaper. So it kind of makes a change since the ammo value works the best with the Reaper. I kind of changed the default for that. The Reaper's the only one that has the recoil changing. So now if I go to a different gun, it still stays 0 to 1. And if I change this back to 0 to 1, then go to a different gun, it stays. So only time it changes when you go to the Reaper. But now you can see what you need to do is you need a name, you need the COM port, you need to do the recoil priority, and you need to do the reload, and that's it. So if you go to the MX24, which is a little different because it doesn't have a COM port, but you can see you have the light gun, dip switch, hub COM port, then the 3 recoil priorities, then since it doesn't have a reload, those are black. So it kind of gives a visual representation of what you need to put in to help new people coming in. Because I know when you look at this, you're like, whoa, do I have to fill all this in? But when you look at it, it's like, no, you don't. There's only a little bit of data that you have to fill out. So when you go through it, it's hopefully not that intimidating. Because I know a lot of people are always like, oh, how do you do it? I want a video. How, it looks so complicated. And I'm like, then of course when people do it, they're like, wow, that was so easy to set up kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah. But once you get the light guns in, the only thing to do else is go do player assignment. Oh, because I don't have a light gun, it won't let me go in. But you go to player assignment and you assign the light guns. That's pretty much all you do with Hook of the Reaper to set it up. You put your light guns in, then you assign them in player's assignment. Okay, but that's it for the changes. The only other thing I had, I'll give you an update on the Xena light gun. So things are going good, and it looks really good to get actually to have Bluetooth support on launch. So I'm not going to say 100% or anything. It's still, uncertain, but it looks pretty good that I'll have that done when it launches. So we'll have the serial port and Bluetooth. So those will be two separate methods. So that would be really cool to actually have a wireless interface. So that's pretty exciting. It's going to be kind of a big change, but yeah, I'm kind of working on it. But I'll probably go back to doing the game files and start on the duck station. But that's it. Thanks. Bye.